You know, it's crazy how fast things have changed. Like, I mean, think about it. Cash used to be king, and now everybody's tapping their phones or swiping cards, right?
Right. Yeah, it's amazing how quickly we've shifted to this, like, almost cashless society.
Yeah. And you know what's at the heart of all that?
What?
Those little mobile card readers everywhere, right? I mean, the numbers are pretty wild. The market's expected to jump from like $10 billion this year to over 30 billion by 2032.
Wow.
That's like a 15% growth rate every year. It's
Yeah, that's
nuts.
a huge leap. I
Yeah.
mean, it really shows you how much this whole mobile payment thing is taking off.
So for this deep dive, we really wanted to dig into who the big players are in this whole mobile card reader game.
Right, like who's really driving this massive growth?
Exactly. We've got this awesome report from Cognitive Market Research, and they've done a ton of research on this, and they've identified the key companies and all the factors that are pushing this market forward.
Yeah, it's a really comprehensive look at the whole industry.
Yeah, so our goal today is to break down not just who these companies are, but like what makes them the leaders. You know, what are they doing that's setting them apart?
Right. And maybe even spot some potential challengers, those up-and-comers who might shake things up.
Exactly. By the end of this, you should have a really good grasp on the whole landscape of mobile payments and where it might be headed.
Yeah, and how these companies are shaping the future of how we buy and sell things.
Okay, so let's get into it. The report highlights 5 companies that are basically ruling the mobile card reader market right now.
The top dogs.
Yeah, these are the heavy hitters. Ingenico Group, Verifone Inc., Stripe Inc., PayPal Holdings Inc., and Electronic Merchant Systems Inc.
It's a pretty diverse group, actually. You've got some established players who've been in the payments game for a while, and then some newer companies that are really disrupting things.
Yeah, it's a good mix. So let's start with Ingenico Group. They're like a global powerhouse when it comes to payment solutions.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
And the numbers prove it. I mean, in 2023, they pulled in almost $3.4 billion in revenue.
Wow. Yeah. And get this, a huge chunk of that, like 1.4 billion, came straight from their mobile card reader business.
That's serious money.
Right. That translates to a market share of 13.7%, which is pretty dominant.
Yeah. They're definitely a force to be reckoned with, and I think a lot of it comes down to their global reach. They operate in over 170 countries.
Yeah, they're everywhere. And they're constantly innovating, too. I mean, they poured $300 million into research and development just last year.
That's a sign of a company that's serious about staying ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and it shows in their products. They support pretty much every payment method out there, contactless chip cards, magnetic stripe, you name it.
And they work with both Android and iOS, so they're not limiting themselves to just one platform.
Right, they're covering all their bases, and they're also really pushing the boundaries with things like biometric authentication and advanced encryption.
Oh, yeah. Security is a huge deal in payments, and they're clearly taking it seriously. And on top of all that, they just launched this new mobile point-of-sale device called Axiom, and it's got all these cool features like cloud-based analytics and AI insights.
That's really interesting. So it's not just about processing payments anymore. It's about giving businesses valuable data about their sales.
Exactly. They're turning these little card readers into powerful business tools.
And with their massive global network and partnerships with everyone from e-commerce platforms to big banks, they're in a prime position to really dominate this market.
Okay, let's move on to Verifone Inc. They're known for their really advanced mobile card readers with a super strong focus on security.
Yeah, security is their bread and butter.
Their mobile card reader segment brought in almost $1 billion in revenue last year, which gave them a market share of 9.6%.
Still a major player.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And their devices are pretty impressive. They support multi-channel payments, so you've got contactless QR codes, NFC, it's all there.
And I'm guessing they go all out with encryption and tokenization and all that.
Oh, yeah. They're all about keeping those transactions safe and secure, which is obviously a big selling point for businesses.
For sure, nobody wants to deal with fraud or data breaches.
And like Ingenico, they're always coming up with new stuff. Last year, they introduced their Verifone Engage series, which has AI-powered tools to help businesses connect with their customers better.
So they're adding value beyond just the payment processing itself.
Exactly. They're thinking about the whole customer experience.
It's smart because it gives them an edge in a crowded market.
Right. And they've got a pretty big footprint, too. They operate in over 150 countries, and they've got some key partnerships, like one with PayPal, to make mobile payments easier for small businesses.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. PayPal's a huge name in the game.
Okay, next up is Stripe Inc. They're a big name in the whole fintech world.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of them. They're doing a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, the report really emphasizes how well their mobile card readers work with their overall payment processing platform.
So it's like a one-stop shop for businesses.
Exactly, especially for businesses that are already using Stripe for online transactions. It just makes things so much easier.
It streamlines everything and gives them a single platform to manage all their payments.
Right. Their Stripe Terminal product line supports all the major payment types,
Hmm.
EMV, NFC, contactless, you name it.
They're making sure they're compatible with whatever customers want to use.
And they're really big on APIs, which lets businesses customize their payment systems to fit their specific needs.
That's a big deal for businesses that want more control over their payment flow.
Yeah, and they just rolled out this new tap to pay feature, which makes things super convenient for quick transactions.
I've seen that it's pretty slick.
Yeah, they're definitely innovating, and they've got a pretty wide reach, too. They're in over 120 countries, and they've partnered with some major e-commerce giants.
Yeah, they're making smart moves to expand their reach.
Okay, now let's talk about PayPal Holdings, Inc. They're like the OG of digital payments, right?
Yeah, they've been around forever.
Right. And they're still a major player in the mobile card reader market with their Zettle by PayPal product.
I've seen those little card readers around.
Yeah, they're pretty popular, and for good reason. In 2023, PayPal's total revenue was a whopping $27 billion.
That's insane.
Yeah, and their mobile card reader segment brought in about $1.2 billion of that, giving them an 11.7% market share.
So there's still a big part of the mobile payments landscape.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Zettle's designed with small and medium businesses in mind. It's super user-friendly, and it works with a ton of different payment methods.
I can see why it's popular with smaller businesses.
And it's all tied into PayPal's massive ecosystem, so businesses can manage their transactions, invoices, customer data, all in one place.
That integration is a huge advantage for businesses that are already using PayPal.
Right, it makes things so much simpler, and you're using some pretty advanced tech, too. AI and machine learning to prevent fraud and optimize payments.
Oh yeah, that's becoming more and more common in the payments world.
And they're not afraid to partner up either. They've been teaming up with major retailers to expand their reach.
So they're hitting the market from all angles.
Yeah, and with operations in over 200 countries and territories, their global footprint is pretty massive.
They're definitely a global force.
All right, last but not least, we've got Electronic Merchant Systems, Inc., or EMS for short.
What's their specialty?
They're another big provider of payment solutions, but they're really focused on serving small and mid-sized businesses.
So they're catering to a specific niche.
Yeah, and they do it well. Their mobile card readers support all the standard payment methods, EMV, NFC, magnetic stripe, the whole 9 yards.
So they're covering all the bases.
Yeah, and they're really focused on making their solutions user-friendly and affordable, which is super important for smaller businesses.
Cost is always a factor, especially for startups and smaller companies.
Right, and they've recently launched their own mobile payment app that lets businesses track transactions and manage inventory in real time.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. So it's like a complete business management tool built right into their payment system.
Exactly. It's really convenient for businesses that are always on the go.
And I bet it helps them stay organized and on top of things.
Yeah, and they've got a pretty strong presence in North America with over 100 regional offices.
So they're really focused on building relationships with local businesses.
Right, and they've partnered with a bunch of local financial institutions too, so they're really plugged into the community.
It seems like they're all about understanding the specific needs of their target market.
Exactly. So we've looked at the top 5 companies, but the report also breaks down how they compared them. You know, what criteria they use to determine who's leading the pack.
Yeah, because it's not just about market share. There are other factors at play, right?
Right. They looked at things like revenue and market share, of course, but also the range and features of their products.
So like how innovative are they? Are they offering cutting edge technology?
Exactly. And they also considered how user-friendly their solutions are and how strong their security features are.
Yeah, security is paramount in this industry.
And of course, global presence is important too. How widespread are their operations?
And how much are they investing in R&D? You know, are they committed to staying ahead of the curve?
And finally, they looked at strategic partnerships. Who are they teaming up with? And how are those partnerships helping them succeed?
It's a pretty comprehensive set of criteria. It really gives you a good sense of what it takes to be a leader in this market.
Yeah, it's not just about having a good product. It's about the whole package.
Right. It's about having a solid business strategy, a commitment to innovation, and a strong network of partners.
Now, here's where things get really interesting. The report also points out that these top 5 companies aren't just sitting pretty. There's a whole wave of new competition coming up.
Oh yeah, those up-and-comers who are hungry for a piece of the pie.
Exactly. And they're bringing some fresh ideas to the table, which is good for the market. It keeps things moving forward.
Competition is always good. It forces everyone to up their game.
Right. So the report identifies a few key emerging players. SumUp Pay Anywhere, LLC LifePay, ZAO, Mura Systems Limited, and Pay11 Holding GmbH.
So let's dive into these disruptors a little bit, see what they're all about.
Okay, first up is SumUp. They're based in London, and they've made a name for themselves with their really compact and affordable card readers.
So they're going for the budget-conscious market.
Yeah, and they're making it super easy for businesses to connect their readers to smartphones and tablets.
Simplicity and affordability, that's a powerful combination.
Right, and they're expanding like crazy, especially in Europe and Latin America.
So they're targeting markets with a lot of growth potential.
Exactly, and they're really appealing to small businesses with their low transaction fees.
Yeah, that can be a big draw for businesses with lower sales volumes.
Next, we've got Pay Anywhere LLC. They're based here in the U.S., and they're also focusing on competitive pricing.
So they're going head-to-head with SumUp in a way.
In a way, yeah, but they're also offering a wider range of products. They've got mobile payments, EMV chip card readers, contactless solutions. They're covering all the bases.
So they're giving businesses more options.
And they're really emphasizing user-friendliness and affordability, which is appealing to a lot of small and medium businesses.
It's a solid strategy, especially in a market that's becoming increasingly crowded.
Okay, now let's hop over to Russia, where LifePay ZAO is making waves.
What are they up to?
They've been growing super fast in Eastern Europe and other emerging markets.
So they're tapping into markets that are just starting to embrace mobile payments.
Exactly. And they're doing it by offering customized solutions that are really focused on security and speed.
That makes sense. Security is always a concern, and people want their transactions to go through quickly.
Right. And they're also offering their solutions at a really competitive price, which is a big advantage in those markets.
Yeah, affordability is key in emerging markets.
Now let's head back to the UK, where Mura Systems Limited is doing things a bit differently.
Oh, how so?
They're all about modular card readers, so businesses can customize their solutions to fit their exact needs.
That's a pretty unique approach.
Yeah, it gives them a lot of flexibility. They can cater to small businesses with simple setups or large enterprises with complex requirements.
So they're covering a wider range of customers.
Exactly, and they're also investing heavily in research and development and expanding globally.
So they're not just relying on their unique approach. They're also pushing the boundaries of technology.
Right, they're a company to watch for sure.
Definitely. They seem to have a solid strategy.
Last but not least, we've got Pay11 Holding GmbH. They're operating in Europe, and they're also all about affordable solutions.
So they're joining the low-cost trend.
Yeah, but they're also putting a lot of emphasis on customer support and merchant services.
That's smart, because good customer service can really set you apart.
Yeah, especially in a competitive market like Europe.
Absolutely.
And they're making their solutions easy to use and scalable so they can grow with their customers.
That's a key consideration for businesses that are planning for the future.
So it's clear that these emerging players are bringing a lot to the table. They're targeting specific niches, they're innovating, and they're not afraid to compete on price.
Yeah, they're shaking things up, which is ultimately good for the market.
Right. It keeps the established players on their toes, and it gives businesses more options to choose from.
And it drives innovation, which benefits everyone in the long run.
Now, the report also offers some advice for new companies that are thinking about entering this market.
Oh, yeah. What do they suggest?
Well, the main thing is to focus on developing really advanced but also cost-effective payment technologies.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between innovation and affordability.
Exactly, because you need to offer cutting-edge features to stay competitive, but you also need to make your solutions accessible to businesses of all sizes.
It's a balancing act for sure.
The report specifically mentions things like contactless payments, biometric security, EMV compatibility, and seamless connectivity through Bluetooth and NFC.
Those are becoming standard features these days.
Yeah, businesses and customers expect those things now.
They want security, convenience, and reliability.
Another important point is to use affordable but high-quality materials and to streamline the manufacturing process to keep costs down.
Yeah, efficiency is key, especially when you're competing on price.
And the report highlights some big opportunities in emerging markets like Latin America, Southeast Asia, and Africa.
Those markets have a lot of growth potential.
Yeah, mobile payments are really taking off in those regions, and smartphone adoption is on the rise.
It's a perfect storm for mobile payment companies.
Right, but the report stresses the importance of forming partnerships with local financial institutions, e-commerce platforms and mobile payment providers in those markets.
Yeah, local partnerships are crucial for building trust and navigating the regulatory landscape.
And they recommend tailoring product offerings to meet the specific needs of different regions.
So like offering local language options or specific security features that are relevant in certain areas.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the nuances of each market.
It's a smart strategy for gaining a foothold in new territories.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that the mobile card reader market is booming and it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah, the growth potential is huge.
We've seen how the big players got to where they are through innovation, global expansion, and strategic partnerships.
And we've seen how new companies are challenging the status quo with their own unique approaches.
It's a dynamic market that's constantly evolving.
And it's exciting to see where it's headed.
Absolutely. So to recap, we've talked about the 5 dominant companies in this market:
Okay.
Ingenico, Verifone, Stripe, PayPal, and Electronic Merchant Systems.
Yeah, those are the big names to know.
But we've also highlighted some of the key emerging players like SumUp and Pay Anywhere that are making a real impact.
They're the ones to watch.
And the market is projected to grow significantly in the coming years.
So it's a space with a lot of opportunity.
Absolutely. Now, here's a question for you to ponder as you go about your day.
Oh, I like this part.
Do you think the established giants with all their resources and experience will be able to maintain their dominance?
Good question.
Or will the disruptive newcomers with their fresh ideas and agility ultimately take the lead?
It's Battle of the Titans.
It is, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
And what about other technologies or trends that might come out of nowhere and completely change the game?
Yeah, who knows what the future holds?
That's the beauty of technology. It's always changing.
The world of mobile payments is constantly evolving, and it's a fascinating space to watch.
I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it.
Me too. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the mobile card reader market.
That's been a great conversation.
It has, and until next time, keep on tapping and swiping.
And stay curious.